All right, it's your boy E. Sutton, and we're talking about my top five centers. I'll give you two tonight. Number three, gonna jump right into it. 50 points, 25 rebounds. That's what he averaged one year. He scored 100 points that same year in one game. He actually led the league in assists one time. I'm talking about Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. This guy, and I hear a lot of people say this before. He was the biggest thing out there. He didn't have anybody his size that can compete with him, and that's fine. So because everybody couldn't compete with him and they didn't have the size to match up with Wilt, he dominated the way a big man is supposed to, or any player should. So I had to put Wilt at number three. I mean, I can always, with any player, you can always find a hole in what he should have did or what he didn't do. The year Willis Reed came limping out of the locker room, we've all seen the highlight. It was against the Lakers. Why didn't Wilt? Let me back up. Why didn't the Lakers feed Wilt until he was full? He's already, as they say, lame. He's dragging out there, but Wilt didn't dominate the way you like to see a big person, anybody dominate against somebody who's obviously hurt. So that's my number three guy, Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. One of the greatest big men of all time, of course. That's why he's one of my top five. Now, H-Town, stand up. I heard Kenny Smith say this one time watching the post game. He's holding my trophy, Kenny. He's holding my trophy. Hakeem Olajuwon was talking about David Robinson. And I've never seen a big man put another big man on skates the way he did David Robinson that series. As Bill Walton would say, flawless footwork by the big fella. Dream. I mean, I remember watching him growing up. I didn't really know what I was. I knew I was watching basketball, but I didn't know to what magnitude I was watching. You sit there with your old man on a Saturday. That's back when the Southwest Conference was in full force. And I remember watching Dream. I actually saw the Dream play over at Reunion. My dad told the Dream to speak to me. And Dream was like, hey, back then I didn't know Dream probably didn't speak English that well, but I can't hold it against Dream. Dream was extremely nice. I put him ahead of Shaq and some of these other guys because of his skill. You have to understand, to know Dream and to know what he brought to the game, he's had guards go work out with him. Kobe, for instance. Kobe went and worked out with the Dream so he can work on his footwork. That says a lot about Dream. When a guard feels like you have the footwork that the guard will need to make his game better. From what I've heard, Dream played soccer when he was growing up in Nigeria, Africa, like Lagos, Nigeria. And forgive me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But playing soccer, if you ever watch the World Cup and things of that nature, you see the footwork that it takes to move around and things like that. And Dream embraced that, and he took it to another level when he brought it to the NBA or brought it to America. My first remembrance of the Dream in the NBA was in 1986. And then, what you mean? Why are you going to go back to the 86? The Rockets had a loaded squad. They had the Dream. They had Ralph Sampson, who before the knee injuries was an outstanding center. They had guys like Robert Reed, Mitchell Wiggins, who was Andrew Wiggins' father. They were all on that team. Lewis Lloyd. I don't think John Lucas was on that team, but they were loaded. And they beat the Lakers in 5. And I remember the Lakers back then, the Lakers would run. That's what the Lakers did, Showtime. But they tried to match size and physicality with the Houston Rockets. And they signed Maurice Lucas, who was known as the enforcer in the NBA. Dream and Sampson had their way with Cap, Kareem, and Mo Lucas. I mean, the shot they won it on, and Rockets fans, you might remember, you might not. YouTube it. They threw it in bounds. Sampson caught it, turned over and knocked it down. But my point is, Dream was in his second or third year, I believe. But to go out there and, as Martin says, stomp with the big dogs, the defending world champions, said a lot about Dream. The following year, I remember watching him play against the Supersonics. Sampson already tore up his knee. And Dream put in work. They couldn't do anything with him. And people don't. The athleticism that Dream played with is somewhat underrated. Because he was an athletic center with great footwork. And what the beautiful thing about that, he didn't rely on that athleticism to make him great. Y'all remember this. He has a move named the Dream Shake. He come down, give you the little shoulder shimmy, fade away over the right, left shoulder, whichever you prefer. And like they say, he made it do what it did. Or I'll make it do what it do. And that's what Dream did. So he's my number 2 center of all time. Number 3 was Wilt, 50 points, 25 rebounds in the season. I think I'm on a good, I'm right where I need to be. So tomorrow, I'm going to tell you who number 1 is. And you're probably thinking, I know who number 1 is. You might not. But I'm going to make a special caveat for number 1. I'll leave it at that. So I hope y'all are enjoying what I'm putting out there for you guys. If not, no worries. I'll be talking about power forwards starting today's Thursday, Saturday. So y'all have a good evening. I'm going to go get in bed with my wife. All right, y'all have a good evening.